Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoded, the place where we translate corporate jargon into plain English. Today we've got a filing that is a bit of a head scratcher, a real puzzle piece of a report from Perfect Moment Ltd, where something subtle but important has shifted. So what is the big story here? Well, it is not a massive financial revelation or a dramatic announcement, but a sneaky little change to how the company makes decisions. Think of it as a small tweak to the rulebook for meetings. Stick around as we decode what this means for Perfect Moment Ltd and why even small changes like this can be a big deal in the corporate world. And hey, before we dive in, if you love getting these unfiltered corporate insights, make sure you're subscribed and join our Discord community linked in the description below. Alright, let's get straight to it. Perfect Moment Ltd filed this report mostly to tell us about a change they made to their bylaws. Now, bylaws are like the internal operating manual for a company telling everyone how things should be done, especially when it comes to meetings and voting. So the company's board of directors, a group of people who oversee the company's big decisions, got together and decided to change one of these internal rules. Specifically, they changed the rule about what a quorum is for their shareholder meetings. What is a quorum, you ask it, is the minimum number of people who need to be present at a meeting for any official business to be done. Think of it like needing at least half the class present for a teacher to actually start teaching. Before this change, a quorum for Perfect Moment Ltd meetings required a majority of the voting stock to be present. That means more than half of the company's shares had to be represented at a meeting for anything important to be decided. Now, though they've lowered that bar significantly, they're saying that if just 33.33%, or about 1/3 of the voting stock is present, that is enough to have a quorum. So instead of needing over 50% of the shares represented to make decisions, you now only need about 33.3%. This is a pretty substantial shift, and it means it will be much easier for the company to hold meetings and pass resolutions, even if a large portion of their shareholders aren't participating. Now, why would a company do this? Often companies lower quorum requirements to make it easier to get things done. It can be hard to get a large percentage of shareholders to show up or send in their proxy votes, especially for smaller companies or those with many dispersed shareholders. By lowering the quorum need, they can avoid situations where a crucial meeting has to be postponed simply because not enough people showed up. However, this also means that a smaller group of shareholders can make decisions that affect everyone. This can sometimes lead to concerns about minority shareholder rights, or that decisions might be made without the broader consensus of the ownership. It is a trade-off between efficiency and broader participation. Looking at the other details in this report, we see it is registered in Delaware, a common place for companies to incorporate, which often offers certain legal advantages. The file number and IRS identification number are standard administrative details. We also see their principal executive officers are listed in New York, and a phone number for the registrant. There are also some checkboxes here related to other types of communications they might be filing under, but they've checked none of those, so this report is purely about the bylaw change. They also list their registered securities and the exchange they are traded on. The common stock of Perfect Moment Ltd is traded under the symbol PMN, T on the NYSE, American LLC. This tells us it is a publicly traded company. Perfect Moment Ltd has indicated here that it is an emerging growth company, and they have elected not to use the extended transition period for complying with new or revised financial accounting standards. This means they are following the newer accounting rules at the same pace as other companies. So the main point is this amendment to their bylaws about quorum. It is a move that streamlines their decision-making process, but potentially centralizes power a bit more if shareholder participation remains low. Under the exhibit section, they included the Certificate of Adoption of Bylaw Amendment as Exhibit 3.1. This is the official document confirming the change they made. They also included Exhibit 104, the cover page interactive data file, which is standard for these electronic filings. And finally, we have the signatures. Jane Gottschalk, as president, has signed off on this report dated the 10th of October 2025. This simply means the company is formally acknowledging and submitting this change. Now, for my take on Perfect Moment Limited and this filing, on the surface, this change to the quorum requirement seems minor. It is not about massive profits or devastating losses. However, in the world of corporate governance, these seemingly small procedural changes can have significant long-term implications. Lowering the quorum threshold makes it easier for the board and management to push through proposals. This can be a good thing if it leads to more efficient operations and faster decision making, especially in a dynamic market, but it also means that a smaller fraction of the ownership base can now influence the company's direction if shareholder turnout is low. This raises a question about how much of the voice of the shareholder base is truly being heard. For Perfect Moment Limited as an emerging growth company, this might be a strategic move to ensure they can adapt quickly without being bogged down by quorum issues. The risk is that if the company faces activist investors or a significant disagreement among shareholders, this lower quorum could allow a more concentrated group to gain control of decisions. The opportunity, of course, is increased agility. In essence, they've made it easier to get things done, but perhaps at the cost of broader shareholder engagement being truly required for those decisions. The overall direction seems to be towards operational efficiency, but the potential impact on shareholder democracy is something to watch. That is our breakdown of Perfect Moment Limited's latest filing. What is your take on this quorum change and what it signals for the company? Future, do you see it as a positive step for efficiency or a concern for shareholder power drop? Your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.